Hello, welcome to my channel, KC Sledge Storyteller. Carrie Chuck here to talk about the wonderful world of storytelling and to open up discussion about how we can tell the best stories we possibly can. Last week I went over conflict, so I wanted that to be a segue to go to villains. Merriam-Webster defines a villain as a character in a story or play who opposes the hero. And now this category has challenges in its discussion. The sky's the limit when it comes to villain's attributes, personality, and what makes him or her a villain or a threat. But one storytelling altruism that applies to all characters is that they are created to serve the story, not vice versa. To that end, villains' specific use will depend on what kind of challenge they offer the hero. Like storytelling itself, there are all kinds of angles that you can take in how we experience the villain. That can be about how and when he or she as a threat emerges. As often as I can, I will have something the reader can't see coming when I know that the story can benefit from it when I write. It can be about how we perceive the villain. I don't believe that the kind of huge, powerful, menacing villain has gone cliche. Actually, I think normal, average Joe looking villain that comes out of nowhere will reach that point before the menacing one will. Just my opinion. Just because every writer, include me, wants to put in that version of it in one story or another. But either way, you need to be at least every bit as industrious in putting together villains as you do heroes. Arguably more so. But good conflict can come from the heavy physical threat as well as the subtle intellectual threat. In another spectrum, you have one end the pure evil villain, and on the other end you have the villain that draws empathy. Now, the latter type tends to grab the most discussion in terms of what a good villain is. They might have a goal that we admire, but it's their methods that we can't support. Take the comic book version of Dr. Doom. He wants to see everything made right with all the world's problems, and he believes that he's the answer to all of them, and thus he seeks every relic that will give him power to do such, and will obtain it by any means necessary, so always violently. One other Dr. Doom factor, his relationship with Reed Richards, and that's a frequent trope of villainy, vengeance, and he can have a vendetta against the hero or some other important character who the hero has to defend, like Phantom of the Opera, for instance. In 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Captain Nemo sees the surface world as a threat to his preferred undersea domain, and thus feels justified in destroying surface dwellers' ships. Magneto on X-Men endured and saw people like himself endure all kinds of persecution before saying enough is enough. And these are all examples of good, empathetic villains. Now, I've written several comic book scripts with empathetic villains for the simple reason that they offer their own complexities to the story. But when I read, watch, or listen to advice from writers, they often say that pure evil villains are one-dimensional and that they don't exist in the real world. And I rebut, is the Joker one-dimensional? And in the real world, ever hear of Ted Bundy? At the same time, a story needs to go further than having the villain be like, I killed these people because I am evil. With a Joker, he still has motivations and has charisma and at times charm. He often takes on the story arc when he's out of police custody, wreaks all havoc, murder, and mayhem he possibly can. And when he's finally taken back into police custody, he's got all kinds of accomplishments to look back on, making him a compelling threat that's going to cause some degree of catastrophe before it's finally stopped. Again, motivations are key. It can't be stressed enough the importance of depicting what drives the villain to push the hero, or whatever the hero values. It's personal, social, moral, or global. The real challenge there is to make them believable. If the motive is something like ransom, unless it's Dr. Evil demanding it or somebody like that, there needs to be a convincing secondary motive, and you effectively follow through to make that story engaging. That last part can't be taught. Like any other principle of writing, you have to learn what that's about and write until you find your groove. Something I wish I had mentioned in the earlier video, but villains, like any other characters, the more complex we can make them, the better. I think we can call the Joker complex in its own way. By each writer have their own idea where his complexity lies. But we want well-rounded characters in the stories on both sides of it. And in case of Empathetic, in some ways that helps us to look around the world around us. People we disagree with, but in the real world, we want to find a common ground to make things better. And it may be something that they offer, something that we offer. So that's, I think, the perspective that we get from good storytelling. But that's my gist of villains. If you like this video, please like it. Click like. If you like this channel, please click subscribe. And I hope we can get some discussion going. Agree, disagree, something I didn't mention. Please comment below. Let me know, and hope you all have a wonderful day.